to Bondage Church. I'm Mark Bind, and for this segment I wanted to show you something. This is called a sleep sack, and it's actually down, it's tied to a bed right now. It's made out of canvas. It has these different straps on it, and then it zips up. I can go inside. There's some internal sleeves that hold your arms down, and then it can be zipped all the way up. Can be strapped shut, and this one's even tied down to this bed, which very much restricts movement. They make these also out of leather. So here's a leather one, and it's same principle. This one can be laced up really tight with a person put into it, and it also zips up. And when you're in, you're like a mummy. You can't move. It's very, very restricted. So one of the ways that I am able to find a really good way to meditate and to think things through is going into really restrictive bondage of being like in a sleep sack. So I'm laying there with my legs and my arms, and I can't move and can't go anywhere. And often there's something on my face to blindfold me, so it's black. So my senses, they call it sensory deprivation. The freedom is gone. I can't. I'm not free to go do anything except be where I am. So the mind is able to wander off. Now, a lot of people find sleep sacks and all this to be, they use it for erotic, sexual types of play. And that indeed does happen for many people. But really, I think the main reason for a sleep sack is the meditative qualities of it. For me, I go in, I drift off, I often sleep in very deep sleep. But this is a tool that I use in order to drift off and to think and come up with creative ideas. And it indeed really works. You get into almost a hypnotic state as you meditate. And I have, in a sleep sack, I have had experiences more than once where it was like the going to the light experience, the near-death experience, and you're completely safe in this thing. And I've also had, one time, I had an out-of-body experience being in one of these. So it does play tricks with the mind to be in this. Now, this is not something for everybody, because some people are very claustrophobic, and it would just you would be able to stand it. I'm kind of the opposite of claustrophobic, so I can handle this kind of thing. But here, for those who would be part of the Bondage Church, find that restraint and bondage and imprisonment and those kinds of things help to heighten the senses and help to get more clarity of thought. In being in this, I had some thoughts, and one of them was about eternity. How long is eternity? How long is forever? And so in order to do this, first of all, I did this little thing on this piece of paper. So I have a real long line, and this line goes forever in that direction, and it goes forever in that direction. And this line right here represents, let's say, the year 0. Let's say 1 AD or 1 BC, so about that period. This would be the height of the Roman Empire. And I'm going to review this again later. This is the present time, and it's a 100-year period. Let's assume you're going to live 100 years, would be great. So that's a 100-year period, and that's your lifetime. And these are 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, that's 1000 BC. I mean, excuse me, 1000 AD, 100, 100, 100, 100, and here we have 1 AD, and now right there you got 1000 BC, and there's like 2000 BC, so now we're in the Egyptians. And if we go off the page, and actually, so right in here somewhere, actually be about right here is when they started writing the Old Testament. And right here is when Christianity started. And the right here, about right here is the Industrial Revolution. And cars were invented about here, and we went to the moon about here, and there you are here. And then the future going back. So that's as much of history, if you live to be 100, that's as much of human history that you're going to live, which actually is a lot of it, if you really look percentage-wise. I'm going to put this piece of paper on the ground back here and just keep watching me. So I put it down. And I'm putting the paper down right here. And so if I walk forward, I'm going forward in time now. So now this is the future as I go here, past today. If I walk backwards, I'm going back in time. So here I am. I'm standing at today. Here I am. I'm standing at 1 AD. I'm standing at the Roman times. Here I am. I'm now standing at the Egyptians. I'm now standing when writing began. And now, if I walk way, way, way back there, way back all that shrubbery, back behind all the shrubs back there, I've got to walk way, way back to get to the beginning of humans. Way back, way, way, way back to do that. So if I go back to those mountains that are way back there, if I walk back to those mountains that are way back there, I'm still not to the beginning of Earth, when Earth was formed. That would be way past those mountains. It'd be another probably 20 kilometers past those mountains to get to where Earth started. But what about back then? Because time keeps going back, because there's the formation of the solar system and the formation of the galaxy and all of that going back in time. And then what about going forward in time? So now we're going to go back to my paper. I remember this illustration. I remember this illustration being done with some string one time when I was in church. And the speaker, who was actually a high-ranking member of the Mormon Church, took a string and strung it across the whole way. And then he made this little mark in the middle and said, "That's your life. And everything that you do here is so dependent, because there's eternity beyond that." So imagine this keeps on going off, not just back to those mountains back there, but all the way off this earth, and all the way back up past the moon, and past the sun, and past out of the solar system, and past what even the Hubble telescope can see, and the Webb telescope. Past all of that, it has to keep on going. It goes in both directions, past all of that. And we're here on this earth to get proven and tried in that little space of time, and what we do in that little space of time will determine our future. So you have to really make sure you get it right, because if you don't get it right in that little tiny space of time, your entire eternity going out past that. So imagine, instead of going backwards in time, now you're going forwards that much, and everything depends on that. And if you screw up right there, I was taught that God's going to judge you, and then you're going to have to live with whatever you did here on this little planet, because this is the only time you get to be tried and tested. So if that's, what's the logic in that? If you have all of this time of eternity, why would a supreme being put you here and say that's all you get, and that's it, and then you have an entire eternity when you have all of that time? If a God has all of that time to play with, why make it dependent on such a small period of time? It's logic. I'm just talking logic. You can make your own conclusions to it, but I just think there's a lot of time to play with here. I'm now showing you an image from Google Earth, and the mouse is moving right there, so you can see the mouse. That's about where the piece of paper was, and I walked back about this far from the piece of paper. So now imagine that line, the line was going this way, and that line keeps going. So if you go in this direction, going down, that is going forever back. Now, here on this piece of paper was all of the time of history of mankind, all happens right there. But if we back up and back up, you can see a road, you can see where we were, and you can see as I back up, there's a road way back here, and I'm backing up and I'm backing up. Those were those mountains that were back there. But if we keep backing up and keep backing up and keep backing away, we were here. And we keep backing away and backing away. Back down about here is where the Earth began, but you can keep backing up in time and keep backing up in time, and pretty soon it's way back, and we'll have to turn the Earth here and keep going back. But now imagine that this line just keeps going on this direction, keeps going on this direction, and just keeps moving just this direction off the planet, this way forward and this way back. Here I am back where my sleep sack, this particular sleep sack is, which I'll probably end up in a few minutes again, and once again find myself drifting away in bondage, thinking of new ideas and creativity, and finding myself more freedom by being restricted, which I know sounds strange, but you do. It frees the mind. But so here this thing is again that I showed you, and it goes forever, and so we'll get to the point of it. The point of it that I had was the logic problem. If there's a God who I had been taught back in my Mormon days was that little period of time you had was God gave you, and you had existed forever before, and you were going to exist forever afterwards. And if you didn't do things right there, your future from that point on, when you died, was dependent on it. So if you're bad, you're going to go to the bad place, right? Hell, or whatever the religion has, or a less degree of glory, or whatever. All because of this one little tiny stretch of time. That if you made a mistake in that tiny stretch of time, and some people only live 20 years, 30 years. Other people live 80, 90, 100. But in that little stretch of time, if you blow it in that little stretch of time, according to God, who's supposed to love you with all, more love than anyone can have, and you blow it, then this entire stretch going on this direction, you're going to be punished forever. And I was trying to just to demonstrate how long forever is. It's a long ways, and because this amount of time seems like that's a long time back from here to the Egyptians. So now imagine, what I just did. So is it logical that a loving God would only give you that much time, and then that's it, and then forevermore you're judged on what you did in this little tiny speck of time? To me, the logic is completely lacking. So I have to reject that theory. I just have to, because it has no logical sense. There's one other kind of lesson that you get from this too, and that is that time's pretty short, huh? You only got this one life. You only have this one life, so live it to its fullest. Be real. Be who you are. If you are kinky and you like this kind of thing, go for it. You only have one life. If not, do that. Whatever it is that is your passion, go for that thing. Live life to the fullest, because that span is short. Every 100 years, it's a whole new group of people here on this planet, because we're gone. It's someone else. So not much time. Don't let grass grow under your feet, because time goes by super fast. And so go for it.